I am Lena Monroe, 23, and the sting of being an outsider, even in my own home, was a feeling I had grown intimately familiar with since the tender age of 7. That was the year the bright, cheerful social worker, Ms. Bethany, with her perpetually kind eyes and an endless supply of animal crackers, had gently ushered me from the bustling, anonymous halls of the foster home into the seemingly welcoming embrace of the Monroe family. They were a vision of suburban perfection. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, with their perfectly coiffed hair and perpetually starched shirts, and their 2 biological children, Liam, then 9, and Clara, a year younger than me. At 6. They were everything I wasn't, effortlessly blending into a tapestry of shared genes and inside jokes. A world I was meant to join but always felt just a millimeter outside of. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button to make my day and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. From the very beginning, the subtle cues were there, whispers in the periphery of my young perception. My hair, a wild cascade of dark curls, never quite settled into the neat styles Mrs. Monroe preferred, unlike Clara's sleek blonde bob. My eyes, a deep, inquisitive brown, often felt like they saw things differently than Liam's confident blue gaze. Even our laughter seemed to resonate on different frequencies. Theirs bright and effervescent, mine a little more subdued, often laced with a self-consciousness I couldn't quite shake. They were kind, of course, in a distant, almost formal way. They provided a roof, clothes, and food, all the material comforts a child could want, but the warmth, the effortless belonging, remained elusive, like trying to grasp smoke. It was like living in a beautifully furnished house with a perfect lawn, but always feeling like you were peering in through a window, never truly inside. Christmas, in particular, was always a stark reminder of my otherness. It was a time when the Monroe family traditions, deeply rooted and intimately understood by Liam and Clara, felt like elaborate rituals I was merely observing, rather than participating in organically. The way they knew exactly where their special ornaments hung on the tree, the hushed whispers about shared childhood Christmases before I arrived, the nostalgic sighs over old photo albums filled with beaming faces that weren't mine, all served to underscore the invisible line that separated me from them. I learned to smile on cue, to nod at appropriate moments, to feign a shared history I simply didn't possess. It wasn't malicious, not overtly, but it was a constant, gentle push to the periphery, a subtle implication that I was a guest in their long-running family play. I recall one year Clara, with innocent bluntness, asked Mrs. Monroe why my baby pictures weren't in the family album alongside theirs. Mrs. Monroe had simply ruffled Clara's blonde hair and said, "Lena's pictures are in a special album, dear." A vague answer that only solidified my feeling of being categorized, set apart. The special album, I later found, was a thin, unadorned binder tucked away in a dusty box in the attic, filled with generic foster care photos and the official adoption papers. It certainly wasn't brought out for nostalgic size during holiday gatherings. By the time I reached 23, this sense of being an other had solidified into a quiet, resigned acceptance. I had built my own life, cultivated friendships outside the family orbit, and pursued passions that were uniquely mine, finding solace in the vibrant, unconventional art scene of our bustling city. My apartment, a quirky, colorful space filled with thrift store finds and canvases splattered with paint, was my true sanctuary, a place where I could shed the polite veneer of Lena Monroe and simply be Lena. I rarely spoke about my feelings regarding my adoption or the subtle distance in my family. It was a deeply personal wound, one I had learned to compartmentalize and carry with a quiet dignity. My art became my voice, a canvas for the emotions I rarely articulated, a space where my otherness could be transformed into unique perspectives, into bold colors and abstract forms that spoke volumes without andau. Meeting words. Then came the grand holiday photo shoot. The email from Mrs. Monroe arrived with its usual meticulous precision, detailing outfits, times, and the chosen photographer, a highly sought-after artist known for capturing families in their most idyllic, heartwarming moments. My stomach churned with a familiar mix of anticipation and dread. Holiday photos were always an ordeal. Another performance where I had to expertly blend into the background, trying not to disrupt the perfect symmetry of their biological bond. I remember the last family photo, taken when I was 18. I had been positioned slightly behind Liam and Clara, my face partially obscured by Liam's shoulder, my smile a little too wide, a little too forced. It was as if I was photoshopped into the image, an afterthought rather than an integral part of the composition. The subtle messaging was clear. I was part of the family, but not quite of the family. A few days before the scheduled shoot, as I was helping Mrs. Monroe arrange a particularly festive centerpiece, she turned to me, her smile bright, but her eyes holding that familiar, almost apologetic glaze. She fussed with a stray holly sprig, her fingers trembling slightly, a telltale sign of her discomfort. "Oh, Lena, darling," she began, her voice a little too casual, a little too saccharine. "About the photo shoot. We've decided to do something a little different this year. Just a small, intimate portrait, for the main Christmas card. Something really special, truly capturing the essence of our immediate Timber Bay biological family." Her gaze darted away from mine, fixing on the shimmering tinsel draped across the mantelpiece, as if she couldn't quite meet my eyes when delivering the subtle blow. The words, though delivered gently, landed with the weight of a lead brick in my chest. Just for biological family. The polite exclusion. The neat, precise drawing of a line. It wasn't new, of course. I had heard variations of it over the years. Family resemblance, shared history, our own little bubble. But this time, for a holiday photo, for the Christmas card that would be sent out to hundreds of friends and relatives, a tangible representation of their perfect, cohesive unit, it felt particularly raw, particularly hurtful. It was a visual declaration, an undeniable erasure of my place in their core identity. It was a public statement, whispered in polite tones, but screaming exclusion. I felt a familiar sting behind my eyes, a prickling sensation that threatened to betray the carefully constructed facade of my composure. But I swallowed it down, forcing a smile that felt brittle, fragile. "Oh, that makes sense," I managed, my voice surprisingly steady, considering the tremor in my soul. "Of course, it'll be lovely." My fingers, however, clenched around the fragile stem of the poinsettia I was holding, threatening to snap it. Mrs. Monroe beamed, oblivious to the quiet earthquake that had just rumbled through my carefully constructed emotional landscape. "I knew you'd understand, dear. You're always so sensible." She patted my arm, a fleeting, almost perfunctory gesture of affection. I nodded, my smile fixed, my gaze drifting to the vibrant red poinsettia she was adjusting, its petals a stark contrast to the sudden chill in my heart. Sensible. That was me. The sensible, understanding adopted daughter who quietly accepted her designated spot on the periphery. But beneath that sensible facade, a quiet, insistent spark had ignited. A different kind of plan began to form, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of a fierce, desperate need to affirm my own existence, my own sense of belonging, even if it wasn't within the confines of their carefully curated family portrait. If I wasn't in their frame, I would find my own. And this time, it wouldn't be a polite suggestion. It would be a vibrant, undeniable declaration, a statement broadcast to the world. The immediate aftermath of Mrs. Monroe's polite dismissal left a hollow ache in my chest, a familiar emptiness that always accompanied these subtle reminders of my otherness. But this time, it was different. This time, the emptiness was swiftly filled by a burgeoning sense of resolute determination. It wasn't just a quiet spark, but a flame flickering brighter with each passing moment. I walked away from the festive centerpiece, the vibrant red of the poinsettia now seeming to mock the muted colors of my own emotions, and retreated to the solitude of my apartment. My apartment, a carefully curated haven of self-expression, was a stark contrast to the pristine, somewhat sterile perfection of the Monroe home. Here, canvases leaned against walls, paintbrushes bristled in jars, and sketches littered every surface. It was a place where chaos and creativity intertwined, a reflection of my inner world. I kicked off my shoes, the faint thud echoing in the quiet space, and sank onto my worn velvet couch, the softness a welcome comfort against the sharp edges of my recent emotional bruise. The exclusion from the Christmas card shoot wasn't just another slight. It felt like a final, definitive stroke of a brush, painting me out of their picture-perfect narrative. It solidified a long-held belief that my presence was, at best, tolerated, and at worst, an inconvenience to their ideal family image. The silence of my apartment, however, wasn't empty. It was filled with the nascent stirrings of a plan. If their family portrait was exclusively for their biological lineage, that I would create a portrait of my chosen family. A family built not on the randomness of genetics, but on the profound, deliberate choice of love, shared values, and unwavering support. This would be a picture of true belonging, a vibrant testament to the bonds that truly defined me. My mind immediately gravitated to the local art project I had recently stumbled upon online, Faces of the City. It was an ambitious initiative by the esteemed Metropolitan Arts Collective, a renowned community arts organization dedicated to fostering inclusivity and celebrating diversity. Their mission statement had resonated deeply with me: to showcase the diverse tapestry of humanity that makes up our city, moving beyond conventional definitions of family, identity, and community. They were actively seeking individuals and groups whose stories resonated with themes of resilience, chosen kinship, overcoming adversity, and finding belonging in its broadest sense. The project wasn't just about static portraits. It involved powerful narratives, culminating in a sprawling public exhibition in one of the city's most prominent galleries, and, crucially, a feature in a prominent local arts and culture magazine known for its stunning photography and insightful articles that often challenged societal norms. The idea of my story, my face, and the faces of my chosen family being featured in such a respected publication felt like a defiant roar, a silent revolution against the quiet exclusions of my past. My heart pounded with a mix of exhilarating trepidation and fervent excitement. This wasn't merely about a photograph. It was about reclaiming my narrative, about making a statement that resonated beyond the confines of a single family. It was about finding my own voice, not as an echo of another's, but as a distinct, powerful melody. I spent the next few days meticulously crafting an application for the project, pouring my heart into every word of the narrative. I wrote with an uncharacteristic raw honesty about growing up adopted, the subtle, insidious ways I had always felt othered, the profound loneliness of being simultaneously present in a household yet absent from its core emotional fabric. I didn't sugarcoat the discomfort, but I also didn't wallow in self-pity. Instead, I pivoted to the beauty of forming connections beyond bloodlines. The solace found in friendships that felt more like kinship, the strength derived from shared vulnerabilities, and the profound joy of being truly seen for who I was, flaws and all. I spoke of my vibrant group of friends, each of them a unique individual, yet together forming a tapestry of mutual understanding, unwavering support, and unconditional love. These were the people who had consciously chosen me, day after day, year after year. These were my chosen family. A week later, an email landed in my inbox, its subject line a beacon of hope against the usual stream of mundane notifications. Faces of the City interview request. My hands trembled as I opened it, the cursor hovering over the link. They wanted to meet me. They were intrigued by my story, by the concept of chosen family as a powerful, evolving force in modern life, a concept that challenged traditional notions of kinship. The thought of sharing such intimate details of my life with strangers was daunting, But the potential reward of being truly understood was a powerful motivator. The interview took place in a sun-drenched studio at the collective's headquarters. I met Maya Sharma, the project director, a woman whose warmth radiated from her kind smile, and whose eyes seemed to possess an almost uncanny ability to see straight into the depths of your soul, past the carefully constructed defenses. We talked for what felt like hours, the conversation flowing effortlessly between us. We didn't just discuss my past, we delved into my passions, my artistic vision, my hopes for the future, and my philosophy on what truly constituted family. I found myself opening up in a way I rarely did, articulating the nuanced pain of feeling like an outsider, the quiet struggle for acceptance, and the exhilarating joy of finally finding my own tribe. I spoke with Alex, my best friend since art school, who understood my creative quirks, shared my late-night artistic musings, and offered unwavering emotional support through every triumph and setback. He saw the world with the same vibrant, unconventional lens that I did. I spoke of Chloe and Ben, a couple who had taken me under their wing, providing a surrogate sense of familial warmth I often longed for, their home a place of laughter, good food, and comforting silences. They were the ones who remembered my favorite coffee order, who celebrated my small victories as if they were their own, who offered solace without needing to be asked. I spoke of Professor Davies, my former art history mentor, a gentle, scholarly man who had seen my raw potential and encouraged me to embrace my unique perspective, pushing me to find my voice, not just in art, but in life. He was the wise elder, the quiet champion who had always believed in my inherent worth. These were the people who saw me, Lena, not just an adopted daughter or an artist, but a vibrant, complex individual worthy of love and belonging. Maya listened intently, her occasional nods and gentle prompts encouraging me to delve deeper, to explore the intricacies of my emotions. By the end of the interview, I felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders, a lifetime of unspoken feelings finally given a voice. Whether or not I was ultimately chosen for the project, the act of articulating my truth, of laying bare my vulnerability, felt profoundly liberating. It was a cleansing experience, a shedding of old skin. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Maya. Her voice, warm and enthusiastic, filled me with a surge of renewed hope. "Lena," she said, "we'd love to feature you and your chosen family for Faces of the City. Your story is incredibly powerful, and your concept of family resonates deeply with our mission. We believe it has the potential to touch many hearts. We'd like to make you the centerpiece of the exhibition, and potentially the cover story for the magazine." End cell. My breath hitched. The cover story. The very idea sent a jolt of pure exhilaration through me, a vibrant current of possibility. It wasn't about revenge, not truly, though a flicker of satisfaction undeniably warmed my chest. It was about validation, about stepping into the light and claiming my own space, not just for myself, but for every individual who had ever felt like an outsider. It was about turning a quiet exclusion into a loud, beautiful inclusion. The photo shoot for Faces of the City was an experience unlike any other. It was held in a sprawling, sun-drenched studio, filled with the soft hum of professional cameras and the quiet, focused energy of a dedicated crew. Unlike the stiff, posed formality of the Monroe family shoots, where every smile felt rehearsed and every posture precisely arranged, this one was organic, fluid, and filled with genuine joy. The photographer, Eleanor Vance, a gentle, insightful woman with a keen eye for capturing authentic human connection, encouraged us to simply be ourselves, to interact naturally, to let our genuine connections shine through. She understood the nuance of our relationships, the unspoken language of our bonds. I invited Alex, Chloe, Ben, and Professor Davies. The atmosphere was light, filled with an easy camaraderie. We laughed, we teased each other, we shared inside jokes and stories, our comfort with one another palpable, a warm, tangible presence in the studio. Eleanor moved around us, capturing us in unguarded moments. Alex and I sharing a conspiratorial whisper as we debated the merits of abstract expressionism. Chloe and then embracing with quiet affection, their love a steady, comforting presence, Professor Davies offering a warm, paternal smile as he listened intently to my artistic ramblings, his eyes twinkling with intellectual curiosity. There was no pressure to conform to a preconceived notion of perfection, no unspoken demand to fit into a mold. It was simply us, raw, real, and beautifully authentic. The day of the shoot felt like a celebration, a quiet revolution unfolding in front of the lens. I felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in a way that resonated deeply within my soul, a sense of belonging that was earned, chosen, and profoundly cherished. Every click of the camera felt like an affirmation, every shared laugh a testament to the powerful bonds we had forged. There was no pretense, no performance, just the genuine warmth of belonging, a feeling I had yearned for since childhood, and had now, finally, found in the most unexpected of places. The contrast with the Monroe family photos, with their forced smiles, stiff poses, and carefully curated outfits, couldn't have been starker. This was my truth, vibrant and undeniable, captured for the world to see, a testament to a different kind of family, a different kind of love. The afterglow of the Faces of the City photo shoot lingered for weeks, a warm, resonant hum beneath the surface of my daily life. It wasn't just the professional recognition, though that was certainly gratifying for an aspiring artist. It was the profound sense of validation, the feeling of being truly seen and celebrated for who I was, surrounded by people who cherished me for my authentic self. The experience had been a powerful antidote to years of subtle emotional erasure, a balm to old wounds. Every conversation, every interaction with my chosen family in the days following the shoot felt imbued with an extra layer of warmth, a shared sense of accomplishment and pride. As the weeks blurred into December, the holiday season descended upon the city, bringing with it a familiar mix of festive cheer and the Monroe family's particular brand of structured warmth. Their annual Christmas card, the very reason for their exclusive biological family photo shoot, became an unspoken focal point in my mind. I couldn't help but wonder what image would grace their card this year. Would it feature Mrs. Monroe's perfectly curated holiday outfits, chosen to convey an aura of effortless elegance? Would Leon's confident, almost imperious smile dominate the frame, or Clara's demure elegance, perhaps a little too saccharine? Would it truly capture the essence of their immediate family, devoid of my presence, a perfect tableau of their genetic lineage? A part of me, the old, wounded part that still carried the echoes of childhood longing, still felt a pang of exclusion, a faint ache at the thought of being deliberately omitted. But this pang was now tempered by a newfound sense of self-worth, a quiet confidence that emanated from the core of my being. The release date for The Faces of the City magazine issue was set for the second week of December, strategically timed for the peak holiday season. My heart fluttered with nervous anticipation, a flutter that was more excitement than apprehension. I had seen a few sneak peeks from Eleanor, the photographer, and the images were stunning, raw, and full of life, capturing the genuine spirit of our connections. But I hadn't seen the final cover. The thought of my portrait, and that of my chosen family, being on the front of a prominent magazine, displayed for thousands to see, was surreal, almost beyond belief. It was a dream I hadn't even dared to articulate. The week of the magazine's official release dawned cold and bright, the kind of crisp winter morning that invigorates the soul. It was also, I knew, the week the Monroe family's meticulously prepared Christmas cards were typically mailed out. The irony was almost poetic, a narrative symmetry that felt almost too perfect to be mere coincidence. My parents had told me the photo shoot was just for biological family, a polite but firm demarcation. In doing so, they had inadvertently opened a door for me to find my own spotlight, a much larger, more public one. They had tried to contain my presence, but instead, they had unleashed my potential. I tried to keep my emotions in check, to approach the situation with the same calm detachment I usually employed when dealing with sensitive family matters. My rational mind reminded me that this wasn't about retribution. But beneath that veneer of calm, a surge of defiant joy bubbled within me, a quiet triumph that warmed me from the inside out, spreading a quiet heat through my veins. This wasn't about revenge, it was about visibility, about asserting my own narrative, about demonstrating that belonging could be found in unexpected places, cultivated through choice and love. On Tuesday morning, the day the magazine was officially released, I made a deliberate detour on my way to my art studio. My feet seemed to have a will of their own, guiding me directly to the largest newsstand in the bustling downtown square, a place usually bustling with hurried commuters and tourists. My heart hammered against my ribs, a nervous drumbeat echoing in my ears, a frantic rhythm against the quiet hum of the city. I scanned the rows of glossy publications, a myriad of faces and headlines blurring before my eyes, each one vying for attention. And then, amidst the vibrant chaos of the rack, I saw it. There I was. On the cover. My face, caught in a moment of genuine, uninhibited laughter, my dark curls framing my bright, smiling eyes, shone brightly. Beside me, subtly integrated into the composition, were glimpses of Alex, his familiar wry grin, Chloe and Ben, their hands clasped in a gesture of quiet affection, and Professor Davies, his wise, gentle eyes, crinkling at the corners. Their faces were alight with genuine affection and profound connection, a tangible warmth radiating from the glossy page. The headline, emblazoned in bold, elegant script, screamed a powerful message: Beyond Blood, the Power of Chosen Family. And below it, a smaller yet equally impactful tagline: Lena Monroe and the Bonds That Define Us. My breath hitched, catching in my throat. It was more beautiful, more powerful than I could have ever imagined. Eleanor had captured not just a photograph, but the very essence of the longing, of love freely given and received, a symphony of connection that resonated deeply within my soul. My chosen family, vibrant and undeniable, was there for the world to see, a beacon of authenticity. I reached out a trembling hand and touched the glossy paper, the smooth coolness a stark contrast to the heat that coursed through my veins. A wave of profound emotion washing over me. This wasn't just a picture. It was a testament to my journey, a declaration of who I was, independently of the family that had struggled, perhaps unknowingly, to make me feel like I truly belonged. It was a validation of my existence, a celebration of my truth. I bought a stack of copies, my arms laden with the weight of my quiet victory, a triumphant, almost giddy smile blooming on my face. The world, it seemed, was finally seeing me. Later that day, back at my apartment, the air still thick with the scent of fresh newsprint, the phone rang, startling me from my contemplative reverie. It was Mrs. Monroe. Her voice, usually so composed, so carefully modulated, held a strained quality I couldn't quite decipher, a hint of something unraveling beneath her polished veneer. "Lena," she began, a little too brightly, her tone slightly forced. Have you seen the new issue of City Arts Culture magazine?" The question hung in the air, laden with unspoken implications. A knowing smile touched my lips, a genuine one this time, unburdened by past expectations. "Oh, yes, I have, Mrs. Monroe," I replied, feigning a casualness I didn't truly feel, though my heart was doing a quiet jig. "It just came out today. Quite a beautiful issue, isn't it?" I waited, letting the silence on the other end stretch, pregnant with her discomfort. There was a beat of silence on the other end, then a small, almost imperceptible sigh, a breath of quiet resignation. "Yes, it is striking, very striking. We were quite surprised. Her voice trailed off, a hint of unspoken discomfort hanging in the air like an unwelcome fog. Liam saw it on the newsstand this morning. He was quite taken aback. He said it was quite a prominent feature. The words, quite prominent, seemed to echo with a hidden meaning, a recognition of the scale of my unexpected visibility. Yes, it was, I confirmed, allowing a hint of genuine pride to color my tone, a subtle shimmer of triumph. It's a story about chosen families, about the different ways people find belonging, about the power of connection that goes beyond blood. It felt very important to share. I intentionally emphasized the themes, hoping to nudge her towards a deeper understanding. Another pause. I could almost hear the wheels turning in her mind, the meticulous calculations of appearances, of societal perception, of what this public display meant for their carefully constructed image of familial perfection. Well, she finally said, her voice regaining a semblance of composure, though it still felt a little fragile. It's certainly unexpected and unique for a Christmas release. Very unique. The word unique seemed to carry a double meaning, implying both distinction and perhaps a subtle disapproval of its unconventional nature. Indeed, I agreed, a sense of quiet satisfaction unfurling within me, warming me from the inside out. Speaking of Christmas, how are the cards coming along? Have you sent them out yet? The question was innocent enough, yet I knew the impact it would have. There was a distinct hesitation before her reply, a drawn-out silence that spoke volumes. Actually, Lena, she admitted, her voice lower now, almost a whisper of defeat, the careful facade finally cracking. We haven't. There's been a slight delay, a printing issue, you see. They're still at the post office. Completely unsent. The words hung in the air, laden with unspoken irony. My smile widened, a silent, knowing triumph. Their carefully crafted Christmas card, intended to showcase their perfect biological family, remained stuck in a postal limbo, unseen by anyone beyond the post office clerk. Meanwhile, my face, my story, my chosen family, graced the cover of a prominent magazine, on shelves across the city, a quiet, undeniable declaration of my own existence and my own powerful sense of belonging. The universe, it seemed, had a wonderfully ironic sense of timing, a poetic justice. This wasn't just a photo, it was my true self, finally stepping into the light, embracing a family built not on blood, but on the profound, enduring power of choice and love. It was a victory, quiet yet undeniable, that resonated deep within my soul, a true Christmas miracle of sorts. The news of the unsent Christmas cards, while satisfying in its poetic irony, was not the end of the story, but rather a quiet turning point. The days leading up to Christmas were usually a whirlwind of scheduled family gatherings for the Monroes, a meticulously planned social calendar that often left me feeling exhausted, drained, and emotionally disconnected. This year, however, felt distinctly different. The magazine cover, my face beaming from newsstands and grocery store checkout aisles, had created an undeniable ripple effect, subtly altering the dynamics within the Monroe household. The usual flurry of holiday preparations was overlaid with an unfamiliar quiet, a hesitant awkwardness that settled like a fine dust over their perfectly polished surfaces. The air seemed to hum with unspoken questions and subtle shifts in perspective. Liam and Clara, typically absorbed in their own social circles and oblivious to the deeper emotional currents within the family, reacted with a mix of surprise and mild curiosity, tinged with a dash of youthful awe. Liam, ever the pragmatist and deeply ingrained in the competitive world of finance, had commented, during a strained family dinner, "Wow, Lena, that's pretty big. Like, real big. The cover of City Arts Culture? That's serious exposure. Good for you." There was a genuine, if somewhat detached, respect in his tone, a grudging acknowledgement of my unexpected public success. He saw it through a lens of professional achievement, something he could understand and quantify. Clara, usually more focused on superficial appearances and social standing, had looked at the cover with wide eyes, a flicker of something akin to envy mixed with fascination. "You look different," she had said, studying my face on the glossy page, her brow furrowed in thought. "Happier. And your hair looks so good, really wild." Her observation, though simple, felt profoundly insightful, a testament to the undeniable internal shift that had taken place within me, a happiness that wasn't feigned or polite. Mrs. Monroe, however, remained subtly perturbed. The unsent Christmas cards, a symbol of her disrupted control over their carefully constructed family narrative, seemed to weigh heavily on her, a persistent burr under her perfectly pressed collar. She continued her attempts to regain her footing, to reassert her matriarchal authority, by overscheduling me with holiday errands, a familiar tactic she had employed since my childhood to keep me occupied. And out of the way. "Lena, darling, could you possibly pick up the artisanal cranberry sauce? And then, perhaps, the organic free-range turkey from that special farm?" But I found myself politely, yet firmly, declining, offering a brief, unapologetic explanation about prior commitments. My energy was now directed towards preparing a small, intimate Christmas gathering with my chosen family, a celebration that promised genuine warmth, effortless camaraderie, and the kind of uninhibited laughter that truly filled a room. This was a stark contrast to the stiff formality, the performative cheer, and the underlying tension that often characterized the Monroe festivities. The art exhibition for Faces of the City opened 2 days before Christmas, a vibrant celebration of community, connection, and diverse narratives. The gallery space, usually reserved for more traditional art forms, was transformed into a kaleidoscope of faces and stories. My portrait, enlarged and displayed prominently in the central hall, drew a consistent crowd. People lingered, studying the raw authenticity captured by Eleanor's sensitive lens, reading the accompanying text that explained the concept of chosen family. I watched from a distance, overwhelmed by the positive reception, by the way strangers connected with the story of chosen family, sharing their own anecdotes of unconventional bonds. It was a testament to its universal resonance, a powerful affirmation that my experience was not unique, but shared by many. Alex, Chloe, Ben, and Professor Davies were there, their faces glowing with pride and genuine affection, their presence a palpable comfort, a warm, reassuring anchor in the midst of the bustling crowd. During the opening, Maya Sharma, the project director, approached me, her eyes twinkling with satisfaction. "Lena," she said, her voice a low, excited murmur. "The response has been incredible. Your story has touched so many people, far beyond what we initially anticipated. We've had inquiries from other major publications, even a national one, Vision's Voices, wanting to feature your work in the broader Faces of the City project. They're particularly interested in a deeper dive into your personal journey." End quote. My heart soared. A national publication. It was dizzying, almost unbelievable, a sensation akin to taking flight. This wasn't just about my personal validation anymore. It was about amplifying a message, a quiet revolution of belonging that transcended traditional boundaries, challenging established norms of kinship, identity. It was about giving a voice to the voiceless, validating the experiences of countless others who felt like outsiders. Christmas Eve arrived, a cold, crisp night, the air filled with the distant sounds of carols and the soft glow of holiday lights. I joined the Monroes for their traditional, elaborate dinner, a performance I had long perfected my role in, a familiar dance of polite smiles and carefully chosen words. The conversation, however, felt stilted, tinged with an unspoken tension, an awareness of the elephant in the room, the magazine on the newsstands. The magazine, though never explicitly mentioned, hung in the air like an uninvited guest, a silent, glossy presence. Mr. Monroe, usually boisterous on Christmas Eve, full of festive cheer and anecdotes from his golf club, seemed preoccupied, his gaze often drifting to the unlit fireplace where the large, ornate frame for the family photo from the unsent card would usually be displayed. It remained conspicuously empty, a silent void. After dinner, as we were exchanging gifts, Mrs. Monroe handed me a neatly wrapped box. Inside was a beautiful, but rather impersonal, silver necklace, elegant, yet generic. "It's lovely," I said, offering a polite smile, though my fingers instinctively traced the cool metal, a subtle reminder of the emotional distance. Then, with a quiet deliberation, I handed them each a copy of The Faces of the City magazine, individually wrapped in simple brown paper and tied with twine, my face prominently displayed on the cover. "A little something to remember the year by," I said, keeping my tone light, almost casual, yet imbued with an underlying significance. Mrs. Monroe gasped softly, her eyes widening in recognition as she saw my face. Mr. Monroe's eyebrows shot up in surprise, a rare crack in his stoic demeanor. Liam and Clara exchanged quick, knowing glances, a ripple of unspoken understanding passing between them. There was a stunned silence, broken only by the crackle of the fire, the quiet tearing of wrapping paper. It wasn't a malicious act, not an "I told you so" intended to wound. It was simply an offering, a tangible representation of my truth, placed gently in their hands, a statement delivered with quiet dignity. The next day, Christmas Day, my small apartment became a sanctuary of genuine, unbridled joy. The morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating the colorful chaos of my art supplies and the eclectic warmth of my decor. Alex arrived first, bearing a box of his homemade gingerbread cookies, their spicy aroma filling the air, a familiar comfort. Chloe and Ben followed shortly after, their arms laden with thoughtfully chosen gifts and a warm, inviting casserole, their easy laughter a welcoming sound. Professor Davies, with his usual quiet dignity, brought a rare first-edition art book, a treasure for my burgeoning collection. We spent the day together, sharing stories, cooking an impromptu feast, laughing until our sides ached, and simply reveling in each other's company. There were no forced smiles, no awkward silences, no underlying anxieties about propriety or appearances. It was a day of authentic connection, a spontaneous, joyful celebration of the family we had consciously, lovingly built, brick by emotional brick. As I watched them, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the fairy lights strung across my living room, their genuine happiness radiating outwards, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace settle over me. This was what belonging truly felt like. It wasn't about bloodlines or societal expectations. It was about shared hearts, mutual respect, and unconditional acceptance. I looked at the copies of the magazine stacked neatly on my coffee table, my face on the cover, a quiet testament to my journey, a visual anthem of my truth. Their Christmas card might still be stuck at the post office, a forgotten symbol of a fading narrative, but my story, my chosen family, was out there, resonating with millions. A beacon of hope for anyone who had ever felt like an outsider, for anyone who believed that love could redefine family. It was a victory, quiet yet undeniable, that resonated deep within my soul, a profoundly satisfying vindication. The quiet triumph of the magazine cover continued to reverberate long after the holiday season faded into the distant hum of everyday life. The initial feature in city arts culture had merely been a prelude, a local echo that soon amplified into a national resonance. As Maya Sharma had hinted, the prominent art and lifestyle magazine, Vision's Voices, renowned for its sophisticated readership and insightful cultural commentary, picked up the story with avid interest. They dedicated a sprawling 10-page spread to Faces of the City, focusing not just on the project's broader mission, but specifically on my personal narrative. This time, my face graced their national cover, a different, more intimate, reflective portrait, capturing a quiet strength rather than overt joy. The accompanying article delved deeper into my artistic philosophy, my journey as an adopted person navigating complex family dynamics, and the profound, transformative importance of finding and nurturing chosen family in a world that often prioritizes traditional kinship. It was a narrative that resonated far beyond the art world, touching on universal themes of identity, belonging, and the search for authentic connection. The release of Vision's voices created a much larger wave than I could have ever anticipated. My phone was constantly buzzing with interview requests from national television programs, radio shows, and major newspapers. My inbox overflowed with emails from other adopted individuals sharing their own poignant stories of feeling othered, of quietly struggling with a sense of displacement within their own families, and expressing profound gratitude for my voice. Art galleries from across the country, and even internationally, began to send inquiries, expressing keen interest in showcasing my work, particularly the Faces of the City portraits and the subsequent pieces, exploring similar themes. It was exhilarating, overwhelming, and deeply validating, a whirlwind of opportunities that I had to learn to navigate. I found myself speaking on panels at prestigious art festivals, giving heartfelt interviews to seasoned journalists, and receiving countless heartfelt messages from strangers who felt profoundly seen, understood by my narrative. The art project had not only given me a powerful platform, but had transformed my personal experience into a universal message of hope, resilience, and the liberating power of self-definition. I became, unexpectedly, a voice for a silent majority, an advocate for those who had felt unseen. The Monroe's reaction to this new level of exposure was a fascinating study in polite discomfort, subtly evolving over time into something resembling pride, albeit still tinged with their characteristic formality. Mrs. Monroe, ever conscious of appearances and social standing, began to subtly adjust her narrative when introducing me to her friends at various social functions. "Lena, my wonderful adopted daughter," she would say, emphasizing the adopted with a touch of performative pride, as if retroactively claiming my soaring success as a direct result of their benevolence. She would often add, "We always knew Lena had a unique artistic spirit, even as a child. We encouraged her passions from the very beginning." These gentle revisions of history were delivered with such earnestness that I met them with quiet amusement, a wry smile playing on my lips. It was a small concession, perhaps, but a concession nonetheless. Mr. Monroe, usually aloof and more concerned with the intricacies of his business dealings than family dynamics, expressed a more genuine, if still somewhat awkward, pride. He sent me a rare email, devoid of his usual business jargon, simply stating, "We're very proud of what you've accomplished, Lena. Truly remarkable work." It was a small gesture, but it resonated, a glimmer of a different kind of connection, a recognition of my achievements that felt less about public perception and more about personal respect. Liam and Clara, immersed in their own adult lives, careers, and social obligations, remained largely detached, though Clara occasionally texted me articles about my work, a tacit, almost silent acknowledgement of my growing public presence and impact. Liam, with his usual brevity, once simply sent a thumbs-up emoji in response to a particularly glowing review of my latest exhibition. Despite these overtures and subtle shifts, the fundamental dynamics within the Monroe family remained largely unchanged at their core. Their holiday photos continued to feature only Liam and Clara. Their Christmas cards still projected an image of familial exclusivity, a pristine facade of traditional kinship. I continued to attend their obligatory gatherings, maintaining a respectful distance, a polite smile, but my heart was no longer bound by their unspoken rules, their subtle limitations. My true celebrations, my moments of profound connection, my deepest emotional reservoirs, were reserved for my chosen family, the individuals who had chosen me, unconditionally, long before any magazine cover validated my existence. My chosen family, however, remained my unwavering rock, my anchor in the ever-expanding universe of my life. Alex, my steadfast best friend and now a celebrated graphic designer in his own right, became my unofficial manager and confidant, navigating the complexities of my newfound public life with a blend of practical advice, unwavering loyalty, and genuine excitement. Our creative partnership and enduring friendship remained a constant source of inspiration and laughter, a safe space where I could be utterly myself. Chloe and Ben, with their easygoing warmth and unwavering support, remained a constant source of comfort and laughter, their home a haven of unconditional acceptance, a place where I could always unwind and simply be. They were the ones who remembered my favorite food after a long day, who offered a listening ear without judgment, who celebrated my small victories and provided solace in moments of doubt. Professor Davies, my mentor, watched my rise with a quiet, knowing smile, his pride evident in the gentle crinkle around his eyes. He continued to offer insightful guidance, reminding me to stay grounded amidst the whirlwind of success, to always remember the authentic core of my art. They were the ones who had truly seen me, truly understood the genesis of my journey, the quiet pain that had driven me to seek my own light, and their unwavering belief in me had been the bedrock upon which I built my confidence, and my identity. We celebrated holidays, milestones, and even mundane Tuesday evenings with equal fervor, our bonds deepening with each shared moment, each whispered secret, each comforting embrace. My personal life also found a profound sense of fulfillment that mirrored the blossoming of my professional world. Years after my initial rise to public prominence, I met Kai, a talented architect with a quiet strength, an intuitive understanding of human connection, and a boundless capacity for empathy. Our connection was immediate and deep, a resonance that felt both exhilarating and profoundly familiar. It was built on shared values, intellectual curiosity, a mutual appreciation for the nuanced beauty of human relationships, and a shared vision for a compassionate, inclusive world. Kai understood my story implicitly, not just as a narrative of past pain, but as a testament to my resilience, my unwavering spirit, and the profound capacity for love I possessed. He embraced my chosen family with an open heart, seamlessly integrating into our vibrant tapestry of friendships, becoming an integral thread in its design. He didn't question, he simply belonged. Our wedding was a small, intimate affair held in the sprawling, sun-drenched garden of Chloe and Ben's home, bathed in the soft glow of fairy lights and the laughter of those we loved most. It was a celebration of love in all its myriad forms, a testament to the idea that family was indeed a construct of the heart, not just of blood or societal decree. My chosen family stood by my side, their faces alight with joy, their presence a powerful affirmation of the winding, beautiful journey that had brought me to this moment. Mrs. Monroe and Mr. Monroe, along with Liam and Clara, were also present, their smiles genuine, their presence a quiet, evolving acceptance blooming in their eyes. The circle of my family had expanded, not by replacing old bonds, but by embracing new ones, creating a richer, more diverse tapestry of connection. Life with Kai was a harmonious blend of creative passion and everyday contentment. We collaborated on projects, his architectural vision complementing my artistic sensibilities, our discussions often flowing late into the night. We supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's successes, and built a home filled with art, laughter, intellectual curiosity, and a profound sense of belonging. Our discussions about the future often revolved around the idea of raising children in a home that celebrated all forms of family, teaching them that love was the ultimate connector, the most powerful bond, transcending any artificial boundaries. We wanted to instill in them the freedom to define their own belonging. One crisp winter evening, several years into our marriage, as a gentle snow fell silently outside, blanketing the city in a pristine white, Kai and I sat by the fireplace, a comfortable silence settling between us, filled only by the crackle of burning logs. I was sketching in my journal, a new series of portraits taking shape in my mind, exploring the evolving definitions of family in the modern world, the fluidity of connection in an increasingly interconnected globe. Kai was reading, his presence a comforting warmth beside me, his steady breathing a soothing rhythm. My phone buzzed, startling me slightly from my artistic reverie. It was a text. The name on the screen made my heart do a tiny, unexpected flip. Hope. My biological mother, a name I had heard only vaguely in my childhood. A whisper from a distant, almost forgotten past. The unexpected contact, years after my adoptive family's apologies and my public journey of self-discovery, brought a complex wave of emotions to the surface. A local news story about my latest art exhibition had apparently made its way to her, picked up by a small regional paper. She expressed a hesitant admiration for my work, a quiet curiosity about the life I had built, a life she had only glimpsed from afar. I read her message, a sense of calm washing over me, surprisingly devoid of the emotional turmoil I might have expected years ago. The sharp ache of yearning for a biological connection, once a dominant force in my younger years, had softened over the years, replaced by the fulfilling reality of my rich, vibrant, chosen family. I understood now that true belonging wasn't about a biological link, a shared gene pool, but about the bonds forged through shared experiences, mutual respect, and unconditional love. I didn't feel a sudden, desperate surge of a desire to reconnect, to bridge decades of absence with a single text. Nor did I feel any resentment or bitterness about the past. It was simply a different chapter, one that had been opened and acknowledged, a quiet echo, but one that no longer defined my narrative or dictated my emotional landscape. I decided to respond, a polite and open message, leaving the door ajar, not out of a desperate need for a mother figure, but out of a quiet acceptance of my own sprawling, multifaceted story. I looked at Kai, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the fire, then at the sketches in my journal, depicting faces full of warmth and connection, chosen faces, each line imbued with the profound stories of their bonds. The image of the unsent Christmas card, once a painful symbol of exclusion, now felt distant, almost irrelevant, a faint echo from a past that no longer held power over me. My journey had been circuitous, winding, and filled with unexpected turns, moments of profound pain and exhilarating joy, but it had led me exactly where I needed to be, to a place of wholeness and profound gratitude. My parents had left me out of their family photo, a seemingly small act that had unwittingly set me on a path to find my own picture, a much larger, more vibrant canvas, painted with the hues of self-discovery, chosen love. That first magazine cover, and the many ones that followed, weren't just about my face. They were about my story, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the boundless nature of love, and the profound, liberating power of choosing your own family. And as the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in a pristine white, a symbol of fresh beginnings, I knew that my story, beautiful and uniquely mine, was still being written, one brushstroke at a time. Each new chapter a testament to the powerful truth that love, in all its forms, always finds its way home. I had found my home, not in a picture frame, but in the boundless embrace of a chosen life, a life brimming with authentic connections. The quiet hum of my vibrant chosen family, resonating through my life, a symphony of diverse voices harmonizing, was the only harmony I truly needed. It was a melody of belonging, echoing through the halls of a home built not on expectations, but on the profound, enduring power of acceptance, a love that knew no bounds. The years that followed the quiet reintegration of the Monroes into a respectful, albeit still distinct, part of my life, and the deeper establishment of my chosen family, solidified the foundation of my Donlin identity. My art evolved, becoming more complex, more nuanced, reflecting the intricate layers of human connection I had come to understand. My exhibitions expanded to international venues, and my work, Particularly the series focusing on the fluidity of modern family structures garnered significant critical acclaim. I found myself speaking on stages across continents, sharing my story, not as a tale of victimhood, but as a testament to resilience, the power of self-definition, and the universal human need for belonging. Each city, each new audience, brought a fresh wave of individuals approaching me after talks, their eyes alight with recognition, sharing their own quiet narratives of finding family in unexpected places. These interactions fueled my art and reinforced my conviction that my personal journey held broader significance. Mrs. Monroe continued her transformation, softening around the edges, exhibiting a warmth I had rarely seen in my childhood. She would call not just to inquire about my exhibitions, but to chat about mundane daily occurrences, sharing anecdotes about her gardening or the latest book club read. She even started sending me small, thoughtful gifts that reflected my artistic interests, rather than generic items. It was a subtle yet profound shift, indicating a genuine desire for connection, a step beyond mere appearances. Mr. Monroe, in his own reserved way, would often sit quietly through my public talks, his presence a silent yet powerful affirmation. He even once, surprisingly, initiated a conversation about the philosophy behind one of my more abstract pieces, revealing a hidden depth of thought I hadn't previously attributed to him. Liam and Clara's children, now teenagers, looked up to me as a cool, unconventional aunt, seeking advice on creative projects and life choices, bridging the generational and emotional gaps that had once felt insurmountable. My chosen family, however, remained the beating heart of my world. Alex, now a highly sought-after creative director for a major tech company, continued to be my first phone call for any major decision, personal or professional. Our bond, forged in the crucible of art school struggles and triumphs, was unbreakable, a silent understanding passing between us that transcended words. Chloe and Ben, with their ever-expanding family and bustling household, remained a constant source of joy and grounding. Their children, now older, saw me as an extension of their own family, a beloved aunt, and our holiday gatherings at their home became legendary for their warmth, laughter, and endless spontaneous conversations that stretched late into the night. Professor Davies, in his gentle twilight years, continued to be my intellectual touchstone, offering quiet counsel and scholarly insights that enriched both my art and my understanding of the world. He was the wise elder whose presence always made me feel profoundly seen and understood. Kai and I decided to expand our family through adoption, a decision that felt incredibly right, a natural culmination of our shared values and my own journey. We sought to provide a loving, stable home to a child who needed one, to embody the very principles of chosen family that my art celebrated. The adoption process was long and emotionally demanding, filled with layers of paperwork, interviews, and a roller coaster of hope and anxiety. We spent countless hours discussing what kind of parents we wanted to be, what kind of home we wanted to build, focusing on unconditional love, acceptance, and fostering individuality. After what felt like an eternity of waiting, we received the call that would change our lives forever. A 6-year-old boy, with bright, curious eyes and a shy smile, was waiting for us. His name was Leo, and his energy was a vibrant spark of joy. The day Leo came home, our spacious loft, already filled with art and love, transformed into an even more vibrant, chaotic, and beautiful sanctuary. My entire chosen family was there, along with the Monroes, all eager to welcome him. Leo, initially reserved, slowly blossomed in the embrace of our love, his shyness giving way to a playful curiosity and an infectious laugh that filled our home. As Leo grew, I made a conscious effort to ensure he understood the breadth and depth of what family could mean. We looked at the magazine covers featuring my chosen family, and I explained the concept of bonds forged by love and choice. I shared my own adoption story with him, not as a narrative of sadness, but as a tale of resilience and the expansive nature of love. He was taught that our family was unique, special, and strong because it was built on a foundation of conscious connection and mutual respect. He knew his story was part of a larger, beautiful tapestry. The conversations with Hope, my biological mother, continued sporadically. They never evolved into a deep mother-daughter relationship, nor did I seek that. Instead, it became a quiet, distant acknowledgement of a shared history, a brief exchange of pleasantries. There was no longer a void within me for that connection to fill. It had been filled by the richness of my life, by the deliberate choices I had made. The bitterness I once harbored towards my early years had transmuted into a profound gratitude, for it was those very experiences that had shaped me, propelled me, and ultimately led me to find my true self, my true family. One warm summer evening, when Leo was 10, he found me in my studio, surrounded by canvases, sketching a new portrait. He sat quietly beside me, observing my work with a focused intensity. "Mom," he said, his voice thoughtful, "why didn't Grandma Monroe want you in her Christmas photo?" I paused, setting down my charcoal. I smiled gently. "Well, sweetie," I began, choosing my words carefully. Grandma Monroe had a very specific idea of what her family photo should look like back then. It was about who was born into the family. She thought that was the only bully. "Way to show family." Leo tilted his head, his brow furrowed slightly. "But that's silly," he declared, with the unwavering logic of a child. "Family isn't just about who's born to who. It's about who loves you and who you choose to be with, right? Like Uncle Alex, and Aunt Chloe and Uncle Ben, and Grandpa Davies. They're our family too." My heart swelled, a wave of profound joy washing over me. He understood. He truly understood. "Exactly, Leo," I affirmed, pulling him into a tight hug. "You got it. Family is about love, and choice, and connection. It's about building your own circle, your own tribe." He squirmed playfully out of my embrace, then looked at the stack of Visions Voices magazines on a nearby shelf, my face beaming from the covers. "And that's why your picture was on the magazine instead of their Christmas card?" he asked, a knowing grin spreading across his face. I chuckled, pulling him closer. "That's exactly why, kiddo." The journey had been long, sometimes painful, but ultimately triumphant. My parents had left me out of their family photo, a seemingly small act that had set in motion a profound journey of self-discovery and empowerment. It had led me to redefine what family meant, to find my true place, not within the confines of a narrow definition, but in the expansive, limitless embrace of chosen love. And in doing so, I had not only found my own belonging, but had inadvertently helped others find theirs too. My story, once a quiet lament, had become a loud, vibrant celebration, a testament to the enduring power of the human heart to find its home. And as I looked at Leo, a child of my heart, a living embodiment of chosen love, I knew that this was the most beautiful picture of all.